knowing the great mediums in history. The Fox sisters are famous for being responsible for the birth of spiritualism. In 1847, Margarita and her sister Catherine were living with their parents in a cottage in Hinesville. The house had a reputation for strange noises, and in March of 1848, rapping and other noises increased in intensity. The two girls began imitating the sounds and found that the rapping would answer back. Kate and Maggie were moved out of the house, but the raps reoccurred in the new homes. The phenomenon aroused great local interest, and the two sisters began holding demonstrations and public seances. Their parents eventually sent them to live with their sister Leah. The three sisters continued to practice seances. Later, in 1888, Margarita confessed to fraud, but she later recanted that story. Irene Hughes was an American psychic who appeared regularly on radio and television. She is particularly known for her predictions of political and world events. She predicted the assassinations of John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy. She also foresaw the deaths of 3 astronauts. Then in 1967, 3 men died in a ground fire in an Apollo capsule. Gordon Higginson attended a spiritualist church as a child. He claimed to have had mediumistic abilities from an early age. He also served in the armed forces in World War II. After the war, he worked as a medium in Belgium, Britain, and France. He was also the president of the Spiritualist National Union for 23 years and the principal at the Arthur Findlay College from 1979 to 1993. He was accused of fraud throughout his career. Even spiritualists and members of the Spiritualist National Union accused him. His comments about the allegations against him can be found in his book On the Side of Angels. Colin Fry discovered his psychic abilities at an early age, abilities his grandmother also possessed. He connected with his spirit guide, Mangus, around that time. After giving readings around various spiritualist churches in his youth, he decided to become a full-time medium after the death of his stepbrother, Michael. Colin was one of Britain's leading psychic mediums. He has helped countless people find peace and inspiration during darkest and most challenging times. He has also published multiple books. He appeared in multiple countries around the globe with demonstrations of his mediumship, and also on television programs such as The Sixth Sense and Most Haunted. He was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, and the disease ended up taking his life at the age of 53. Estelle Roberts is regarded by the British spiritualist movement as one of the finest exponents of mediumship in the 20th century. She once filled the Royal Albert Hall in London. She also toured the UK, giving demonstrations of her exceptional mediumistic gifts to thousands of people. Although as a child she encountered spirits, Estelle Roberts did not start her development as a medium until she was in her 30s.
So the reason why it's a good idea to study history on mediumship is because if you go back and read about these mediums, they pretty much all were judged. They were all, there's always someone that doesn't believe what they can do. No matter what they do, they find a way to say that this is why it happened or that's why it happened, it wasn't real. So it's kind of the same situation that we all go through when we first start practicing, when we get judged or when we get the no's and we get the overthinking and when we have the confidence issue. So that's why I started with that. There's many other mediums that, I just wanted to give you a little taste of of what I was getting at, but there's many other ones to study. So if y'all have time to go and look into it, it's very interesting to know what kind of struggles they went through in their careers. There also were, like, and still are, many famous people that had mediums or psychics to read for them, like Queen Victoria. She always had a psychic to read for her. I believe one of the kings, I'm not sure which one. Sir Arthur Cohen, the man that wrote Sherlock Holmes, he had some healing from, I believe he lost a son. So he did a lot with spiritualism, and I believe he even toured to talk about spiritualism too. So when we go into overthinking, to me, overthinking, confidence, the no's, and what else on my left? Judgment. It all goes together because it all overlaps each other. So as far as overthinking, let me see where I want to start. Let me go through my notes. So by now, I'm sure everybody has been in a situation where you've been overthinking what you're getting impressed with. Where you receive an impression from spirit, but you get a second thought quickly. And sometimes when you get that second thought, it comes so fast that you don't even remember your first thought or your first impression, and you give the second one. So it's important to pay attention to the first one, and you can stop your mind. It may take a while to practice, but you can stop your mind from going to that second thought and stay with that first thought, and don't sit and think about it. If you say it right away, you're giving your first thought. So it's important to remember to do that. Especially, I feel like I just said this, but I know I just said it in the recording, not to y'all. So the recording that actually is going to be, I think the music's going to be too loud, I'm not even going to play it. What I was saying in that recording was, if you're in a group setting, not always do we give readings together. Sometimes we split up in breakout rooms. But if we're all in a group setting together, and I say, okay, I'm going to go down the screen, I'm going to start with, like, tonight it's Jacqueline, then Cheryl, then Tracy, then Amarita. And I'm going to go down the screen, and everybody give what you get. Usually I like to tell y'all to write it, and that's the reason why I tell y'all to write it. But occasionally I will say, give what you get. And if Jacqueline is feeling bad about what she got, maybe it could be a suicide, or it could be a murder, or something, serious that she thinks is going to hurt the sitter's feelings. So she doesn't say it, but she gives other information, and she'll get a few yeses or no's, and then when we get to Cheryl has the nerve to say it. She's going to say what she got. And then Jacqueline's like, I should have said that. I knew that, but it's like it's too late because everybody already heard what you gave, and you skipped. But you're going to kick yourself later for not saying it, because somebody behind you will say it. And that's the person that's going to get all the yeses, and it makes so much sense to them. So it's important to give it no matter what you feel for the sitter. The sitter's there to heal grieving for the most part. Sometimes they want answers. They need to understand that we can't always give the answers they ask for, because it's not our choice of what we get. We can ask, but we're not going to always get what we ask for. So Spirit may have something more important to give than to give answers to their questions. But all in all, they're here for healing. And if you don't say what a cause of death was, or let's say they had a drug habit, and you don't want to hurt their feelings by saying that their loved one had an issue, so you don't say that, then what's going to happen is they may leave with a little doubt because you didn't bring through all the evidence. If spirit comes to you and gives you something to say, they are not here to hurt their loved ones. They love their loved ones, and they're here to help them heal. So they're not going to give you any information that's going to hurt their loved ones. So whatever they give you, you should give, no matter what. So that goes with overthinking. Trying to make sure that I've said everything I had written in my notes. I think I did. Okay, so confidence. Confidence is very close to overthinking, because if someone, and it goes hand in hand with the no, if someone says no, our confidence goes down, and then we kind of shy off, and we don't want to say too much more because we're scared, because we got to know, and we think we're on the wrong path, but we're not. So what we need to do in that situation is change the wording around. Maybe you're interpreting it wrong, but don't say no. And let me see, I wrote something the other night. I got so many notes. Confidence is going to have a lot to do with when you say, I lost my connection. I'm not getting any more. I just can't. You can. You can get it because you got it the first time. So what you need to do in that situation is understand this. Like right now, we're all in a circle, and there's people coming in, and we have multiple people most of the time reading for these people. But if you're on a one-on-one, like if you want to progress to a point where you're reading, you're doing paid readings, or even if you're doing them free, but you're doing one-on-one reading, you don't have nobody behind you to back you up to heal that person. That person came to you hoping for healing. You know how much these people, a lot of these people, especially parents that lose children, are hurting, and they come to you, and like some of these people are at their wits' end, and you could be their last resort, their last thought to get help, to get healing. And if you shut down because they say no, and you say you lost your connection, I'm sorry, I can't get any more, that could be their last, that could be their last hope. So the best thing to do is to ignore the no. If you give it a different way, usually it'll make sense. But if it doesn't, move on to something else. Instead of letting yourself shut down, because if you got spirit, my throat picks. If you got spirit in front of you, you can't tell me that you lost your connection. They're not leaving. They are staying. I promise you, spirit is not walking out the door. They are there. It's you that cannot get it because you're not trying to get it. Spirit is not going to walk out and leave their loved one still grieving as much as they are. Wait. So that's a confidence thing. That's something that you have to fix in yourself if you want to give reading. You can't leave a sitter sitting there unless you plan on working with like two partners and everybody get together and read every time you have a client, so somebody's there to back you up. You have to dig deeper. You can't leave your client just sitting there waiting, because spirit, I guarantee you, is waiting. You might not feel them anymore because your confidence dropped you down, but they're sitting there like, hello, I'm here. If you just calm your mind, you're going to get them back. There's no such thing as losing a connection. It's impossible. Mediumship is like one of the most easiest things to do. Once you get a hang of it, and you can move your mind to the side and allow for a spirit to come through, it's like the most easiest thing you could do. It's easier than driving a car. I'm a bad driver, but it really is. It's one of the most easiest things to do. It's just to once you get it and you realize you got it, you're gonna get it over and over again. And the best thing to do is to practice, practice, practice. What you're interpreting, you may be interpreting it wrong. You may be linking it to a situation in your own life, just because it reminds you of that situation, and it might not have anything to do with that situation. So just look back at how you interpreted it and try to give it a different way. So if you own a company and your employees didn't do anything you asked them to do, what would you do with your employees? You would fire them. So if you come in and Spirit asks you, can you tell my loved one this? Or they show you a picture of, can you interpret this picture for my loved one, and you don't do it, they're not going to want to work with you. Just like if you were in business with employees, you would not want to work with these people that you can't trust. And if they can't trust you to give the message, you may be the only shot they have. Because as many people as we have here on earth, imagine how many spirits there are up there. Not all spirits are going to get a chance to give their loved one a message. Not all loved ones are going to, first of all, they're not all wanting a message. They don't all believe. But not all loved ones are going to have the opportunity to meet with someone who is genuine and can give a message from Spirit. That it's very rare. It doesn't seem rare to us because we do it all the time. But in the real world, this is a very rare thing. So if you have the opportunity to work with Spirit, give what they give you. And if it's wrong, try it a different way. And if that doesn't work, move on to a different subject. But don't just leave them hanging. Don't give up. It's all about calming yourself. I'm going to tell you, I don't meditate often. I show y'all meditation. But the purpose of meditation, you don't have to meditate to connect with Spirit. You don't have to open your chakras. Your chakras, yeah, you can have like a blocked chakra, but you don't have to go through this visualization every time you connect an open chakra. Spirit's there. They're here for you. They're here to work with you and to help you. They're here whether you meditate or you don't meditate. The reason for meditation is because it helps you to clear your mind so you can get those messages. But once you get your mind trained and it's going to clear, you can do it. Platform reading is, and that's what most people go into is platform. That's a group of people in the audience. They're not all silent. Like, there's going to be noise. So you have to be able to work where there is some background noise. Some people have kids and they can't help it and they have noise, and you know, it is what it is. But you have to be able to train yourself to where you can make the connections. And when you get to the point where it's all the time, it's just going to come naturally. You're just going to pick it up naturally, and you won't even have to put an effort out. Your mind's just going to move. Boom, Spirit's there, and you receive the messages. And then when you're done, thank Spirit. Always thank them for working with you. They want you to thank them. They want to know that they help. And they don't like being referred to as dead people. They are souls. They have souls just like we do. Their souls are still alive. So, okay, let's see. I didn't have a pick in my throat until I got on Zoom. So in the beginning stages of mediumship, meditation is important. As time goes on, you're gonna know how to calm your mind. You're just gonna or maybe you'll just take a couple of breaths, and you won't have to do the meditation all the time. Meditation's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. It's good for people that are not practicing mediumship, just in general, because it helps to keep your mind calm. But it's not necessary to make a connection.
Can I ask you something, Joe?
Uh-huh.
Would you say the same for sitting in the power? Would you just say that that's meditation too, and that once you've done it and
yeah, I would.
You don't have to.
I don't do any of that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't.
Yeah.
I have, but I don't need to anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good practice because you're being aware of the sounds around you. Yeah. Okay. I gotta finish my meeting and just put them on the counter. Thank you. You when you're in the power, you're supposed to be paying attention to the sounds. You might hear a car pass or a dog next door bark, or it doesn't matter. Maybe your air conditioner, or maybe your ice box might kick on. And you're just paying attention to the sounds. So it's just helping your awareness to strengthen. And once your awareness is at a point where it's strong, I'm not saying you should never sit in the power. And we'll put it this way: we sit in the power every day, whether we know it or not.
Yeah.
Because we're always listening and hearing things. So whether we're aware of it or not, we do it. We're taking it a step further by sitting quietly and paying attention and listening. But once your attention is up and your mind is trained, it's all about mind training. Once your mind is trained, it's just going to be natural. It's just like doing opening and closing. Yes, I teach that in a circle, but I don't necessarily do that on a regular basis because I have my intentions set. My guides know what I expect. I work that way. It's not to say that I don't talk to my guides, because I do, but I don't have to do it before I make a connection. Like, I know I'm protected. Sitting in the powers is going to be something you're going to do every day unknowingly, but you'll probably do purposely here and again, but I don't think you'll do it daily forever. And having said that, if you feel like you need to, there's nothing wrong with doing it. It's just, to me, it's extra time that's wasted. But if you're a person that, like I said from the beginning, if you don't agree with something that I teach you and something else works for you, that's fine. So if sitting in the power, meditating, open chakras, if all that is what you have to do to make a connection, then do it. But you may want to try without, because it does save some time.
Yeah.
So as far as the no's are one of the biggest things in mediumship, because no confidence is gone. Nobody wants to sit down with someone and give information and get no, and it's going to shut you off if you let it. It's going to bring you to a point where, man, all they say is no, so why even bother? Like I guess I don't have their loved ones, but you do. It may not be the loved one you think you have, but you have a loved one. A good idea, and I think we're going to try this soon, is to not have answers. I know we do that sometimes when y'all writing stuff down, but like actually sit one-on-one, give the information, and tell the sitter ahead of time. Hold everything to yourself, because here's the reason. Some things are gonna they're going to get and some things they won't get. First of all, if they're not answering you, they can't tell you no, so you can't be brought down from that because you don't know if you're right or you're wrong. So it stops the thinking process, it stops the overthinking, and you're just giving the information. And then when it gets to the end of the reading, if they had, they're going to understand that they had things that they didn't understand, but they're going to understand they had things they understood too. So all in all, they're going to know you had their loved one. But if they're telling you yes and no, and they shut you down and bring your confidence down, then you won't get all those yeses because you won't go through with the whole reading. You're going to stop. So, and another thing, and this is very true. When you give a reading, and I'm guilty of this too because I say this a lot, I say I feel, or I think, or I'll ask them a question. It's a habit, but it's a bad habit. And it's a habit we should all break, because if we're not confident in ourselves, then your sitter's not going to be confident in you. If you go into a reading and you're doubting yourself already and you're like, let me ask you this, do you have a mom in spirit? You don't have to ask them. You already know what you got. So just tell them. Don't ask what you got. Say what you got. And they are going to have more confidence in you. You're going to have more confidence in yourself. And the reading is going to go much smoother. You're going to have more yeses at the end than if you take the time to stop and ask, or say, well, I feel like, or I think, just say, I know this is what I have. And at the end, did any of that resonate to you? And sitters understand that we're not perfect and we're not going to get it all right. We're going to get things wrong. But you have a better chance at finishing out that reading if you give all the information than if you stop and ask, because those no's are going to shut you down. And just to yourself, you should be thinking, I'm right. This is it. Like, I know this. I don't think this. I know this. So don't tell them you think it, because you know. So what kind of...
I feel like I have a gentleman here. I feel like he's a grandfather, gray hair. He has, they look like like little round glasses. Okay, I'm not sure whether he's the father or grandfather of whoever this is for, but I feel like there's a lot of sweetness. There was a lot of sweetness I feel like it's from in the relationship with these two. And like his words were very caring, and just a very, very, like, I don't think he was a sweet person, like, to everybody, but I feel like to whoever this is for, like, there was a lot of sweetness in the relationship and a lot of sweet words, and just a lot of caring. And let's see. Okay. This is weird. So I read for somebody recently, and I got a red car, but it meant something for them. I'm seeing the same red car now. I'm feeling like I'm connecting to that. So that's throwing me off a little bit. Let's see. There may have been a car accident, actually. And I feel like, yes, I did say grandfather. I feel like this gentleman had, like he was close to a granddaughter. Like, this is all over the place. And so do you want me to ask if anybody can connect with that yet, or do you want me to just keep going?
When someone can connect, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can just keep going.
Okay. Okay, I am feeling like this is their grandfather, and so they're making the grandfather-granddaughter connection.
Now, you may get to a point where you know who it's for.
Okay. I have a feeling it's Cheryl.
Yeah, father, but it sounds to me more like it's my father. But, you know, I have 3 daughters that he's the grandfather to. He's passed.
Okay.
And at the end, I helped him. And at the end, my relationship was very different with him than my whole life.
But don't give her information. Let her give you the information.
Okay.
But you can take the sweetness. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the sweetness and the caring. And he wore roundish glasses. They were a little bit on the big side. They were round, but on the big side.
Okay. And how about the car that I was seeing?
There is a dark red car that he left in his estate. It was a diesel, and I had to help get rid of it.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So there was a car.
All right, cool. Okay, let's see. I'm not sure why I keep getting this with my throat. I don't know if that's involved or not, because I haven't sounded this at all. I don't know if there was anything that was over his chest, but I'm really feeling that right now.
that would be...
Cheryl, you know this.
So what am I supposed to...
Just let her give the information.
Okay.
Let her give it.
Let her talk.
Or just like a yes, we can take that.
Okay.
Don't, and you, Miss Jacqueline, don't ask her if she can take it. Just give it. You know this. You don't need to ask her because you already know, so just give it.
Okay. All right, so as I was saying that about the throat, I was feeling energy and pressure in my chest. I feel like it's a struggle to speak. I feel like at the end is a struggle to speak. Talking was really hard, and I feel like I'm feeling the emotion. I feel like there was a lot that he wanted to say, but he was struggling with that, and so I feel like he was picking and choosing his words so that he could say the most with the smallest, like the biggest punch with the words he was using, because he was very restricted. Okay, he's showing me a puzzle now. And at first I was assuming that he liked puzzles, but I'm kind of feeling that his health might have been a puzzle. Like there were things going on that maybe doctors didn't understand, or maybe he didn't have a diagnosis, a hospital room. And let's see, that it feels like he didn't like being in the hospital, and that it felt like a very cold environment, which it is, but it was a very cold environment for him, and he was not comfortable there. But I feel like he, maybe towards the end, had to spend some time there. I'm trying to ask about passing, because I'm not sure. I feel like the passing wasn't very quick, like that it went on for maybe a little bit of time, like it wasn't immediate, and it kind of, I wouldn't say dragged out, but it went over the course of a few days, like when they knew he was passing, and I get nervous the longer it goes on.
What did I say though? Well, wait, hold on.
Okay.
Nope. What did I say? You cannot say that you can't get any more.
No,
and
I didn't say that. I was very
nervous.
careful with what I said.
But you cannot say you're nervous. You
okay.
don't worry about if she can take it.
Okay.
Just give it. Because you're confident enough in your mediumship that you know you're giving a good reading. You don't need confirmation. You have to build your confidence and give it. Don't worry about if she can take it.
So just keep going.
Keep going.
Take up the whole time. Okay.
It's okay. You on a roll. We got time. We might turn into 30 minutes. That's fine.
Okay. So since it wasn't so quick, I feel like a lot of family got to be bedside and got to be there and got to say their goodbyes and I feel like it was very peaceful when he did pass. He felt very peaceful, and it feels like it feels like, even though he had a hard time speaking, like it feels complete. That's what I'm trying to say. Like the ending felt very complete for him, and that everybody that was involved left feeling a sense of peace, like the struggle for him was over, and just I'm left with just like the loving connection that was left, and that it's like then everybody went out and really celebrated his life and really connected together with this love kind of from him and from the situation. And I feel that he's very much involved. That he likes checking in on his family, and he likes to remind them that he's there in the little ways that he does, and that he feels like his legacy goes on. He feels like I'm not sure if it feels like maybe something was done in his memory to remember him. Not sure what it was, but there was something that was done or planted or made in his memory, and he really values that and honors that, and I just see him smiling from that.
So I think you're going to send him off, but before you send him off, thank him for working with you, and then send him back to Cheryl.
Thank you. Okay, go back to Cheryl.
Right. My father, it took him a while to die. He got cancer. They first determined he had cancer of the bladder. It took half of his bladder out, declared him. You know, you can live 100 years to 100 years old. Within a few weeks, they found out he had kidney cancer, and he wasn't going to go through all that again. Mm-hmm. And I spent time with him in the hospital. He also was able to say to me, to tell all my sisters and brothers that he wanted to see them before he died, because he was in Florida and we're all in New York. Mm-hmm. And the two youngest ones chose to take time to go down and see him. And being cold, he was kind of skinny, and I remember him, and he didn't have socks on, needing to stay bundled and warm in the hospital. And when he finally did die, I mean, they had him in a nursing home and, keeping him comfortable. And he was almost had him comatose so that he could pass gently. And actually, he passed when my youngest sister was there. Okay. And then at his funeral, he rebuilt John Deere tractors. And they took a tractor to the state fair in his memory shortly after he died. Okay. And at his funeral, the tractor club that he belonged to, basically 20 or 30 members came.
Oh, wow.
And he spends a lot of time with me in spirit. I have to tell you, he does.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes we go,
okay.
Yeah, it just does. And actually, I don't, I believe what I believe, that he's sent to protect over my grandson. And that's maybe the grandfather thing.
Okay.
Because he spends a lot of time with me in spirit. And my relationship with him at the end of his life and now is very supporting, loving, caring both ways. That was not the way it was my whole life. So you got him, and the puzzle. See, the puzzle about his health was he had the pain and was actually going to get a colonoscopy, and he didn't like them, and he finally signed up for one, but then ended up in the hospital with the bladder cancer, which they found out he had, and certainly at the same time he had the kidney cancer. They just didn't pick it up. And then I don't know, because I had to leave because after, I was down there for 6 weeks, thought he was getting better. I had to go home, and then he called me up and said somehow they determined he also had kidney cancer. And he said, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to go through all that pain again of the surgeries and whatever. I'm just, it's my time to die. So yeah, you got a ton of it right, Jim.
What about not being able to talk much? Was that from the sedation toward the end?
Well, one of the things I guess he tends to do, because I asked him a couple times, sometimes he goes through physical symptoms to connect. At one point, he had something wrong in his throat. The first time I went down, about 7 years before he died, they had to repair like a pouch in his throat where the food was getting caught. And he got very sick, and he got an infection, and they sent him to the nursing home anyway, and then they had to send him back to the hospital. And I went down that time, and had I not gone down, he needed the support. So they had a feeding tube and stuff down his throat.
Yeah, that'll irritate the throat.
So I think he has to do with that. And then the heart, he did have to have, maybe 20 years before he died, he had to have bypass. So he had, some heart pain. So sometimes I think that he does for me, he sort of goes through a set of illnesses or symptoms to confirm.
Right. And I pick up the physical stuff, like I so that.
So I'm getting a vision of someone being or by a creek, like a small one, where the water's flowing down, and I can see like the fall leaves around it, and that's sort of that person going on a hike and being part of like that parcel of land. Maybe they did it as a child. And then I see them like it's wintertime now, so it's cold, and they're going ice skating basically not the original one I saw was sort of flowing downhill. This would have to be in a flat area, like more like where it ponds. And then I see this person climbing trees, wanting a tree house and maybe building one as part of the family. Okay, that's what I've got. So.
Not all. Remember.
Not all. I gotta try again. Okay, I'm closing my eyes again. And I'm seeing this person finding a special tree, an apple tree, and spending time getting the apples out of that tree. Like a really fun thing, a fun find. Then being able to ride with horses, actually, and like a horse-drawn sleigh in the snow, and they're going somewhere on the property where there are Christmas trees, and cutting down a tree and bringing it home.
And do you know who this goes to? Yeah, you do.
I think for some reason Jacqueline was my first impression. Maybe a father figure, like some of his memories where he grew up.
Do you want me to talk now, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Where he grew up? You were just some of the things you were describing, I was picturing it, and it wasn't like 100% of the scene, but when I was a child, we had a cabin in northern Arizona, and I was feeling like there was a connection there. It wasn't word for word what you were seeing, but I was feeling like, oh, this, this could be that, that kind of time in my life. Yeah. And he grew up in a cold country, so I don't know much about where and how he grew up, but it could definitely pertain to that as well.
So, do y'all see how, like, we all know each other now. We've been sitting for a while. So, still, somebody scares to raise their hand, like, when they start getting it. So what if it's not me? So, imagine someone that doesn't sit with people that give messages. If we can't even get it, and we do this all the time, imagine what the regular person is going to do. They're not going to always get it, because there's always that what if behind your mind. Like, what if this isn't for me? What if I say I claim it and it resonates with somebody else? That's always there.
Okay. I have a male in spirit. He's shown me he's older. From his look, he's older. I'm at a skating rink. I'm watching over a young boy. I feel like he passed, it was something with the choke into, and in the chest area. Heart attack is what I hear. He walks with a like a limp. There's a limp there. He has glasses. Salt and pepper hair. It's not all white. It still has some black in it. He was tall. I can see him in a plaid. It's not flannel, but it's a plaid long sleeve shirt and like blue pants. I feel like this is for Cheryl, but I think Jill could take that too. There's also a very short, older woman with him. She's very short, and she has some type of an accent. She doesn't seem like she speaks English. I see Italian. Good cook. Older when she passed, like 90s, early 90s. Talking about grandkids. She's talking about her grandchildren. And there may have been some kind of joke about her hair and rollers. Does anybody understand any of this?
You can't ask questions.
I can't ask. Okay, just keep going. All right.
Y'all all gonna quit on me before Wednesday.
No. The lady telling me she worked in healthcare. I see a heart unit or heart, something about the heart. She worked in healthcare with heart. She's saying she had two daughters. One of them was a principal or worked in the school system. And the other was a drifter. I don't know, but that's what I'm hearing. The other was a drifter.